goblins, witches, vampires. All of them have something in common. Little kids dress like them for Halloween sometimes. This, is Best of the Midwest Halloween edition with Evan McInnis.
Thank you, Jordan. Honored to be here. Big Halloween fan here.
Ooh, that gave me shivers up my spine.
You're really spooking the guests out, dude. Hopefully they can get through the podcast.
I don't know. I hear all these things and I see these ghosts sometimes and whoa.
Have you ever actually seen a ghost?
Oh, me. Have I ever seen a ghost? No, but I have been scared of them. My mom is very into spirits, and she'll always like go through a house and be like, oh. She'll be like, I feel something there.
Yeah.
I feel something.
Yeah.
Like, and I just know that there was a presence there.
So you grew up in a household with some magic that was being mentioned, or some.
And some things freaked me out. Some things happened to me when I was a kid that freaked me out. I was like, what else could it be? It had to be a ghost.
And I know, I don't know if the listeners know about Jordan, but he's really into his costumes. He's had a lot of costumes over the years.
Oh, yeah.
He's dressed up, not always for Halloween, but he's a costume expert in a sense.
You're going to have to get closer to the mic.
Oh, I'm low here? Okay.
But yeah, my mom made all of our costumes. We didn't buy them. We didn't do the pre-bought ones. I was a G.I. Joe a lot of years.
Yeah.
So, whatever we just had from the year prior from Uncle Sam's Army Surplus store. One year I was Neo from The Matrix. I don't think anybody really understood my costumes.
Can we pause here for a second?
Yeah, what's wrong?
Are we going to run that the entire time?
Oh.
I mean, we can if you want.
All right, it's okay.
We're going to keep going.
No, just keep going.
Let's start over.
Start over.
I'm sorry, it was breaking I was like, wait, I just didn't, I don't know. It was breaking my concentration. I kept listening to it, and I was trying to listen.
Just start over.
We can't? We're like 30 seconds in. We just got the intro.
Oh, take her easy there, Pilgrim.
Boy, I got vision and the rest of the world wears bifocals.
Well, son, since you haven't learned to respect your elders, it's time you learn to respect your betters.
It is, I think, going to be a very harsh and unpleasant kind of business, and will, I think, require an extremely harsh and unpleasant kind of man to see to it.
I'm your huckleberry.
So, Halloween is this weekend.
Yep.
We're recording this before. And then...
you better get this online by at least the 29th.
I think I was going to do it Friday. Is that too late?
Maybe. I don't know. No, that's probably a good time.
That's the eve of... No. Yeah, that's the eve of Halloween. Ooh. All Hallows Eve. So...
Which in my household, by the way, I thought this is a funny way to start, is that I love Halloween, but my wife is, she's just nice, and she just, loves Christmas, so she's already listening to Christmas music anyway. It's
already?
Yeah, and I'm like, we're not skipping Halloween. I like Halloween. We're going to talk about it today.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're talking about Halloween, and we kind of thought, we'd look kind of... I never knew the history of Halloween. Evan said he didn't really know. I don't know a lot of things. It was never talked about. You just do Halloween.
Yeah.
So we looked up kind of how the origins and everything, and it ended up being super interesting.
Yes.
Very, very, very not what you think it would be. So
and it goes back a really long time. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like I was reading about Samhain, which is Samhain, but it's pronounced Samhain, summer's end. Ancient Celtic pagan ritual festivals. Well, and I was reading about that. They were, a Druid society. So this is before Christianity even, and they believed in the spirits of the nature and the sun god Baal, and then for them winter was a tough time. So when it would come, it was represented the death of their god for the winter, and the winter again was all the crops would die, and it was really
Crops.
cold, and people would get sick. And
Leaves, flowers are dying,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
so they did this big festival, and they thought that this was the time that the spirits. So
the spirit realm was like the thinnest.
it was the thinnest.
So it was
There
like they could get out easier.
There were souls waiting for reincarnation. They believed in reincarnation. So they were like the good souls would be reincarnated immediately as like a good guy in their society, or like maybe he would be the lawyer's son or whatever. I don't know, or whatever, the doctor's new daughter. But the bad ones would be like reincarnated as like a slug or something. So on this time, they thought this was like the time of the year where the souls were all collected, and they were like in between, and it was like the liminal time. And then
So spirits walk the earth.
spirits walk the
basically.
earth.
Like that's why it's like
Yes.
the ghosts and stuff. Like it's
they even
kinda-
had in Ireland, in the Irish folklore of the Celts, they believed that the gates of hell were in a cave there, and called Crouchin, or I probably Cruachan.
Cruchin. It's Cruchin.
You're
You
better.
don't- you don't know that
even
word?
though I'm Scottish, and
Crouchin.
I don't
I
have
don't
a good
even know if
accent for
that's right. I'm
Scots.
making
I'm
that
not
up.
good at that. But yeah, it was interesting. And then they thought that opened up the portal opened up, and there was all these souls roaming around. So all the kids and all the people in this village would have bonfires and get together and hang out and drink and dance, and they'd wear costumes dressed like scary monsters to either disguise themselves as from the spirits. They would make animal sacrifices. There's like the end of the year of their crops. They would get all the cows together. They would sacrifice them to the god and pray for either recently dead loved ones to not be reincarnated as like the hog or something, or they would also just try to disguise themselves so that people wouldn't find them. And I don't know. It was interesting to read about.
Well, and there's that like thing kind of like later on too where it's kind of like a similar thing with like the Christian side of it too, where they give out treats to for people like beggars. They give treats to beggars so the beggars will pray for the people to not be in purgatory anymore.
Yeah, so you can see
there's
all the predecessors to
right.
modern Halloween in these things exactly. Like I even found out that the black cat in these old Celtic druids, the black cat was like a sacred symbol to them for some reason, and they had yeah, like you're saying, it was Christianized. I thought one more interesting thing that I found about the what they believed in the Celtic lore was like that they thought that there was like the demons would come out sometimes on during this time in Samhain, and they would exchange your baby for a changeling. Oh, so it was like, but this was like this really puts you in a perspective of like somebody that was living there. They are worried that like, oh, little Billy grew up and didn't really amount to anything. He probably was a changeling when he was a kid. They dropped, the demons came and replaced him. It was just a lookalike that wasn't as good as the real Jimmy. That was a weird, yeah. But anyway, that's a real thing. But you're right. Yeah, the Christians, the Romans at the time came in.
They had their own holiday, like back in May or something.
And the Romans, they didn't like, obviously, because it wasn't their gods.
They weren't
and
into it.
then when they became Christian, it wasn't the Christian faith. And
it was Constantine that like claimed Christianity for Rome and stuff, and then like that's when everything kind of changed for like even like the Halloween kind of thing.
They went to the Celts. There were still some druids there. I mean, eventually the Romans had taken all this, but anyway, they came there and they said you can't be druids anymore if you do these celebrations. I even read that they would go around in like they eventually had pushed all the druids to this one last remaining island, and like it was like they surrounded it, and then they came in and they like walked. They were like going around and cutting down the trees, which the druids worshipped as like that was like their ancestors or something. Like the gods were the trees, so like they were just like cutting them down and being like, yeah, you're not worshiping the trees anymore. And if you initiate anyone else into this cult or whatever, you're gonna die.
no.
So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, it's
They also the bat, like kind of like the bat.
I'm not taking sides here historically, but it was a little messed up. But they said you can still practice your little fun thing as long as it's like Jesus or like
What?
saints. So they would say you could dress up. Then they changed it. They're like you could dress up, but you're going to dress up as the saints. You're not dressing up as like a demon.
Oh, because that's where like
Yeah.
All Saints Day came from.
Yeah.
So in the Roman holiday, I forget what it's called, but like they kind of had like an All Saints Day where they like would just kind of worship the dead and everything.
That one, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
and then
Same
when
thing.
the Christians came in, they did not like the they didn't like
So
the
they
Irish
just
one.
kind of changed it.
So
they
and
just
then
kinda
they
changed it to,
moved
like,
the date to like directly. That's when they moved the date to November 1st was All Saints
Something
Day.
like, yeah. So All Saints Day, yeah.
Because they wanted to wash out the like Druid kind of like thing.
And they had a couple other holidays related to it throughout the year, but then they, like you've heard of like All Hallows Day, All Hallowtide. It was all, that's where we get these words like Halloween. That's what it was based originally in that. But yeah, dude, and even then just reading after that, which again, we're not taking sides here. The Christians did not ruin this. The Christian, without the Christian influence, Halloween is way cooler. And so is all the macabre stuff, like all scary, stuff related to Halloween, that's all way cooler because the Christians, which we can discuss. But like when they put this like thing of evil on it, and that's why it's spooky. It's like there's all these forces of Satan after you and stuff. It's like way scarier.
But like
than,
the devil's like not in any of the actual.
Well, he's in some of the lore. Like he's in like a little bit, not like some of the maybe like the main
hell is in some of it and everything, but like everyone.
Well, think about like the devil went down to Georgia and like here's a perfect segue. I researched the jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah.
So the jack-o'-lantern is interesting because there's a bunch of old myths,
that is
like
devil.
Ichabod Crane, the headless horseman, which by the way was when I heard that story the first time when I was like I don't remember, I was a kid. And I heard that, and it was like the thing at the time for like maybe 6 months. I was most terrified of the headless horseman with like the pumpkin head. I just heard like the kids' version of Sleepy Hollow, and it terrified me. When I was a kid, I was most afraid of that, and then like I thought there was a witch in the basement that would come up the stairs in the middle of the night, and I would have dreams that she was like gonna come steal me or whatever. I don't know. It was like as a kid,
I had Chucky dreams. I didn't have
Chucky's
dreams.
also scary. But I didn't have that terror. But no, dude. So anyway, jack-o'-lanterns. There was a story about this guy named Stingy Jack. You heard this?
I read it. Yeah, I read about it.
And he like was making he was doing all these tricks. He was kind of a trickster. He was like a scoundrel, drunk kind of guy.
And he was like not favored by anybody.
And he made the devil came and he made a barter with him, and he said, you're not gonna take me away to hell. But
he had a drink with him. He had a drink with the devil, and like Stingy Jack didn't have any money, so he was like, "Hey, devil, why don't you turn into a coin, and I'll pay with you." And then and so the devil changed into a coin, and then he put it in his pocket with a silver cross, which means the devil can't use his power to change back. So he's like, "You don't take my soul, and I'll let you loose, devil."
Which it's also funny, by the way, in this myth how dumb the devil is.
Yeah,
like, and then he comes back late, and then later after this plan is foiled, eventually he lives on and then dies, or is about to die again, or whatever. The devil comes to him, and he tricks him again by like making him pick an apple, and then he puts a bunch of crosses around the tree.
Yeah, he makes him climb a tree, and then he like carves crosses into the bark, and then the devil came. He's like, oh, I can't get down. Come on, man.
It's almost like imagining an episode of like I don't know, Team Rocket or something. Like they're just like this. The devil's just like this idiot. It's like he's just this idiot that just gets his evil schemes foiled by this like drunker guy. But anyway, then the guy tries to go to isn't allowed to. He barters with the devil, so he doesn't have to go to hell. And then
when God doesn't want him in heaven.
Yeah, God rejects him, so he just wanders the earth with this little carved. I guess
the devil gave him two like eternally burning embers to like guide his way because it's like everything's dark.
It's like a creepy myth. Like if you're out in the woods and you see a light, it's probably Stingy Jack or Jack of the Lantern, and then that that's kind of the basis, at least speculative. There's a bunch of different, like I said, also Sleepy Hollow. There's different myths that go into it, but you could even see. I was thinking like the devil went down to Georgia, like that song. Like there's this kind of classic myth of like. You barter, the devil will give you supernatural powers, but you have to sell your soul to the devil. Like you have to like turn against God, and then he'll make you like really good at guitar. Or people would say Robert Johnson, the blues musician, they would say he was like had made a deal with the devil. He was so good at guitar because he is like if you've ever listened to him, he's just really, really good at the guitar and sing. And his blues music is beautiful. But like and they, it also reminded me of like Faust, even like which is a German myth. Where the guy is he's like this. He's basically like trying to become the smartest guy ever, and then he makes a pact with the devil and sells his soul so he could like attain like other deeper knowledge and like magic and stuff.
But that's not what Stingy Jack did. Stingy Jack just was like, don't send me to like hell, please.
Yeah, it's pretty much it. But it's just interesting the whole like pact with the devil thing, where the devil it's kind of like the I don't know. It's just a really. It's a common theme. I think it's cool. Jack-o'-lantern's cool. And then it's cool because it's like, now you just see everyone carves pumpkins and stuff. But
yeah, because what it used to be in like England, they used turnips. Little kids would do turnips and like potatoes and stuff. And then and like I guess pumpkins are just more native to North America, and that's when they started doing it. And then the kids would like smash them in streets and stuff.
And we were talking about the
shit. Sorry, guys.
the mischief day. So like
Mischief days,
they would
dude.
go. It was like it wasn't which wasn't the. Again, there's so much a long period of time and so many different cultures that celebrated similar things to this for like 1,000 years that we're glazing over here. But like, they had days. There was times when the kids would go out on this night and whatever. At this time, All Saints Day or Mischief Day, and certain times where they would go out and just do like horrible pranks on like the old people.
It started with like it before that. There was that thing where you would go up to. The beggars would go up to the people's houses and beg for like little treats.
Yeah,
and then they would say the prayer. Well, the homeless people started getting trashed and stuff. Like they said, like they just started having these huge parties before they would go basically trick or treating.
Yeah,
and they would just start breaking stuff, and it became a tradition to just start breaking stuff.
Yeah, mischief.
And then it turned into, and then little kids started doing it.
Yeah, like this idea of like trickery, like and then trick or treat, and then eventually they would give the kids like to appease them, like, oh, take our little cross bun we made and don't come back, and then they were like, they would sing them songs, which is kind of like Christmas caroling or something. But you could see this is just a predecessor to modern Halloween with trick or treating, which is like so fun when you're a kid, and where we grew up, it was so much fun, like dressing up and going out.
Scary time, but it got pretty like violent apparently.
Dude, I remember though there was a couple houses down from me, like a couple streets down from me, in Washington. There was like this guy that would do like a legit haunted house. So you could like on Halloween he would just let in if as long as your parents were with you or whatever, and you would go down and you would like go down to the basement. And it was terrifying. And he would you would come around the corner and then he would have you looking at something, and then like this chainsaw noise would go up behind you, and then somebody would be kind of chasing after you, and it was like. I thought I was like a badass, so I was like, oh, I'm not gonna get scared. But we were running up the stairs. I don't know, it's just cool that people are having that much fun with it. You know what I mean? And I don't know. It's just cool.
I read that Halloween is the second most consumerist holiday.
Oh yeah.
In the year, because Christmas obviously is the first, so Halloween's the second.
Yeah.
So people getting really into decorations and haunted houses are fun.
It's sweet.
I didn't really go to haunted houses a ton.
I mean it's kind of fun.
Well, they talk about the things that I were reading and stuff were talking about how it turned into more adult things. Mm-hmm. So it went from the old people, the old beggars tearing stuff down, and it kind of turned into kids. They would burn buildings down in cities.
Yeah,
and people would die, and they would throw rocks through windows, and it was an actual huge problem.
Oh yeah,
and. To settle it down, because people were like, we don't want this to happen. So I'm like, it was like a retail company or something like that. They started trying to market Halloween and being like, oh,
it's fun.
It's fun. Let's just have a party. Why break stuff? Let's have a party. So that's when, and then they started selling costumes.
So you're saying, Jordan Heath,
oh gosh,
that the corporation started our beloved cultural phenomenon of Halloween.
Yes. Well, no, not the entire Halloween, just the Halloween that we live today.
It's the same thing with Christmas. I'm sure if you research it, I don't know, but I'm not an expert in it. I'm not, if there's any really genius anthropologists or something listening to this, I don't, more than I do.
Yeah, I don't.
But anyway, so the transition was interesting, but this whole idea of it's an old, all the way stretching back to pagan times of but almost like a continuous tradition in that same time of year, for thousands of years, and it always has these same feelings of the souls are out. It's
because it's just it's for all, even before that there were the Greeks with Persephone and stuff, when she gets taken down with Hades,
into the
there's
underworld.
a thing there was probably some kind of celebration then too, and it does mean the same thing.
Demeter was Persephone's mom, was the goddess of the harvest, and she wept when she was
whenever
sick, and that was their myth about the crops dying. It's all the same connotation. It's everything is. Harvest season's over. Mm-hmm. Things are going to be kind of cold for a while. Yeah, let's have this weird thing and death and all this stuff. But it's part of the humans. It's part of the human psyche in a way. It's you want. I mean,
seasons.
Like I said, at my house, Monica, my sweet wife, she doesn't like horror movies. It just makes her get anxiety, so she just chooses to opt out. I like horror movies. I've watched so many horror movies. It's just fun for me to get scared every once in a while. I remember when I was a kid, the first time I saw The Ring, which when I was I'm sure people our age That's like one of the phenomena. I watch it now and I think it sucks, but
Yeah,
like when I
I
was a
laughed.
kid, it got into my subconscious so bad that I would just be at night, like I mean, I don't remember if I was 8 or I was like third grade ish, and I
remember when it came out.
like
I've
being
seen it.
thinking at night that the TV was going to turn on and go to static. It's like there's something in your brain that almost needs to be scared a little every once in a while. Like you just want to feel the rush of being scared. That's why like horror movies is such a phenomenon. You know what I mean? And it's not anything new. I mean, you look back even, all half the themes of all these of Halloween nowadays is like this Victorian thing, like Dracula or like
That's what I said. Dude, mummies, Dracula. Well,
Sleepy
and I was
Hollow.
thinking about that too, and I was thinking about all these like symbols of like death, like or like the vampire, the freaking mummy, like Frankenstein, like all these things. They're all dead.
yeah,
They're all dead.
yeah.
So like that, I've always because that's always like the thing. It's like there's that those were kind of like the Horcrux.
It's like they're
scary
between
things.
death and life.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And which again we were just talking about with that's what the ancient Celtic pagans thought. The Druids thought about when that's at this time of year there was all these like spirits roaming about because they weren't quite reincarnated. And then the Christians are like they changed it and they said, oh, it's just that we're praying for the souls in purgatory because they were Catholics. They were praying for the souls in purgatory to be accepted into heaven. So like it's the same thing, but it's like it's the liminal time between life and death. And like, dude, but
the
one of
leaves are falling.
and then the whole period, like I said earlier, I think that the Christian influence on it made it so much more fun and interesting. Like when
I love it when
I mean obviously it
now
would
I
have
will
been
say,
fun.
like, people like it's the devil's holiday.
Dude, but I like it would have not been fun to be burned alive at the stake in like whatever the 1500s in Scotland, when like somebody down the street accused you of being a witch and you weren't. So that, but at the same time, that whole thing is like one of the most interesting things that I've ever read about was like, in the Middle Ages or after the Middle Ages, you know what I'm saying? Like in like the 14 to 1500s in Scotland, just reading, and in Ireland and in Britain, reading about like the way the witch craze spread, like hysteria. It's so crazy. And it's interesting because it's not, we have a tendency maybe now to look back and say, oh, well, they were all just like really superstitious. And nowadays we have science, so we know that like curses are all stupid
I don't know.
and fake.
I think that like even the idea of like witches being out there kind of like maybe made some girls like interested in doing something weird.
You can't look back
trying
on
to do
oh, for
something
sure.
weird.
Oh, yeah. Like
That's like literally that whole crucible. The whole crucible.
Exactly. And and again, but it's like sorry, I'm trying to regain my frame of thought here. But yeah, it was, but I'm saying the idea that they were dumb and that they just like were superstitious is not accurate. Like they were really smart and they were well read. Like the King of Scotland. This is really interesting. And he wrote this book called Demonology. It was King James VI. We talked about this before. He wrote this book, and this man was the King of Scotland, and it wasn't, again, this is like 500 years ago, which in the scheme of things is not that long. It's way more recent than Rome when we were just talking about, and he was well educated. He was raised up like in the highest of all schools. He was reading like Plato and all the stuff you would read in like a whatever, college classes or whatever today, or maybe in some high school classes, the classics and learning like rhetoric and stuff. He was doing all of that. So it's not like he was an idiot. And I even read that it actually, like, it was like, if you look back like before this time, there were times where the Christian monks and stuff were like, this witch stuff it's we should avoid it, but it's all made up. So don't even worry about it. It's not like they have any actual powers. They're just kids being idiots, basically. But then at that time, they came out, and again, these are super educated people. Not that long ago, science already existed. I mean, it wasn't where it was now, but they had the idea of science and reason. It was already idiots. They weren't idiots. And this guy wrote a wrote a book called Demonology, which was a Socratic dialogue about like convincing you that witches were in fact real, how to identify them, and then how to like take care of them and kill them.
Dope.
And there was another really famous one called Malleus Maleficarum. And it's just like, imagine that. Like, that's, and it wasn't like he was joking. It's 100% real. They thought there was like.
I think it still is like a thing.
Yeah.
I've met people that like claim that they're Wiccans and
Which-
stuff like I've
Which nowadays it's mostly like maybe
It's
girls.
kinda
It's like
like-
girls and boys that like maybe watch like
probably
Sabrina
like
Teenage Witch too
edgy.
much or
yeah,
something.
it's like it's like too edgy. Like they've seen what Buffy the Vampire Slayer too much or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, if I don't want to get cursed.
But again, we have science now, so we know it's all fake.
But I still think it's kind of weird that people still like.
Well, and it's interesting because this thing we're talking about right now has been discussed before by scholars. There was a scholars. You know, they are the ones that get to actually have opinions, right? We don't get. But anyway,
we just have to like.
we
read
just
what
have to
they
like
say.
read what they say. But anyway, I found this lady named Margaret Murray, and she is very like heavily disputed. And there's also a famous guy named Robert Graves, which I had heard of before this. I never really read much of it, but she had this idea that there was this underground. Margaret Murray had this idea that there was this underground cult of Wiccan witches, like that had come down from the paganism. Like it had been underground and unwritten for thousands of years.
Secret witches,
And that they had. This is what caused all these and of course, most, if not all, of these witch burnings and stuff were fake. I mean, or not fake, but like they were like just hysterical, and the woman or the man the sorcerer that got burnt was innocent. But it's also interesting to consider maybe there were people trying to do service to Satan or whatever, some other god. It's not that hard to imagine it. And it's interesting because I read about this, and when she wrote this book, and all these scholars came out and said that's not accurate, we have no evidence of this, and like you're just speculating and reading too much into these sources. But then it came out that there was this thing called the Benedonti. The Benedonti was in Italy, and it was a group. It was literally what she described. It was an ancient pagan underground cult of witches. They called themselves good witches. So they were like openly,
nice.
we're witches. But again, back then it wasn't uncommon for there to be people claiming to be healers. Like they're like, I'm a healer. And so basically
they were anti-healers.
They're like alchemists. So like, if I mix the right a
They
little
just
bit of gold
invented fireworks a lot earlier than the Chinese.
yeah.
Oh, wait, is that after?
A lot of
Oh my
that.
gosh.
There's some of that kind of stuff to it, but
They figured out some chemical tricks. They had some chemical
alchemy. But see, that's the thing. Alchemy was considered sorcery. So it was like the church said, you don't do that. You don't
alchemy here.
divination, which was like someone.
Tried to,
fortune tellers, but there
yeah.
were still fortune tellers. You've heard of Nostradamus and stuff. There were still fortune tellers, and then again, we talked about earlier the Greek stuff. The fortune tellers back then were so like the Pythia at Delphi, which was the Apollo's temple, where they got it was like the highest word in the land. They would have this woman go into these trances, and it's speculated as to if she was under the influence of anything, but. It's a whole different rabbit hole. But they would listen to her oh, should we invade whatever the neighboring city state? And then they would listen to her, and she would go into some trance and then speak as Apollo. So it was again that's just a whole interesting thing. But what I was saying about I don't want to get too off track. But the Benedonti proved that was true because they were an ancient. They said that they had a spoken.
So there was a super.
There was
secret,
an underground.
I wonder
witch
what the
society.
witch language
They
is.
claimed they were good ones, and it's weird, dude. They said the Benedonti said that they at night would go into these trances and have spirit battles against the bad witches and stuff.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Which I'm like, dude, that's like a movie or something. I don't know.
Witch wars.
Witch wars, like mind spiritual witch wars. And then you obviously got to think about.
Then they have do they fly around on their brooms and stuff?
And see, there's speculation about that. Again, we talk about how now
Cats are also associated. That's why
black cats,
the
which we
black
talked about
cats,
earlier,
yeah,
which is again now later, but
later
it's
on with
different.
something else. Same kind of symbol.
And now you still hear about it even in 2020.
A completely different culture.
But the
era,
dude, it's like the so the Benedonti, and they also we were talking about the broomstick. So there was you gotta quit hitting that table. Anyway, I thought this was kind of funny. There was now I was like nowadays we have to just give everything a logical explanation. So or a scientific explanation, as if these people couldn't have actually just believed that they were possessed.
Something weird's gonna happen.
But it's silly to do that because nowadays they say Salem witch trials, the most famous that everyone's heard of. was like these girls in Massachusetts were like possessed basically, and then it started spreading to other girls.
Well, and they just did it because they were like, we're not supposed to do this.
Well, maybe
That's what the modern was like. They were trying to,
but it's
do
not.
it.
But it's not the only witch hysteria that's happened, and it wasn't like. But anyway, this hysteria spread.
What happened? It happened in like the 1400s.
People, and then a bunch of women were
England.
accusing people, and then it was this whole crazy. And they started hanging
again
people.
There, like in the 1600s.
It happened. Yeah, it had a bunch of times. And the interesting thing there is again. You're just assuming that they didn't believe any of this was going on, or that it was all a complete fraud. But it's like you look at that, like that book Devil's Ludon that I read. I read that. I always talk to our friend Stephen's wife Megan. She's always is really interested in this stuff too. But we read that book, and it's like this priest is named Urbain Grandier. He was like a womanizer, kind of like he would just like. Bang all these girls and stuff. And he was not a good, like, Christian man. But then this whole convent of nuns claimed they got possessed. No, they all got possessed, and they claimed that he had, like, put a satanic curse on them with his eyes.
I don't know about the spirit world and the possessions and the spirits. I don't know, man.
And they all were saying it, and then he denied it, and they burned him alive, and he denied it even to the stake.
How do you... So, I don't know. I was talking about
but
ghosts and stuff.
Do you just can you just say, oh, they were all making? I mean, you can't just imply that you understand their mind.
Disregard like everybody's paranormal like experience.
No,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's. What,
I don't think that's what I'm saying.
I
don't think necessarily that it's that they didn't. It's like I don't know if necessarily
people still do it today.
I'm not saying
like
that they were magically possessed. I'm not saying that. I don't know about that, but I do know that they could have thought they were. They could have thought that Urbain Grandier did. They very, very devoutly believe this stuff. They don't have the same perspective
in their own
now.
heads.
It doesn't seem stupid to them for that to be. That's what everyone thought. So, and then it's like.
But were they spooky witches though?
No, but,
that sucks.
Well, these
That's
don't. No,
lame.
but there could have been. There probably were. There could have been spooky witches. Why do you think
I'm talking about like the good witches.
Oh, the good witches. No, they claimed they were fighting the evil witches. So
that's the lame.
I don't think that. Yeah, they were really spooky witches. But anyway, the point of that is it proves that there was underground witch cults. It's not like that was a crazy thing to say. And everyone said that she was crazy because again she challenged the status quo, and it's and then it turns out that that's real. And then again it turned It's just interesting.
I hung out with a friend of mine for a while, and she got this like new friend from out of town that was just kind of like a vagabond, and she was pretty sketchy. And she's like, she's a witch, and like she was telling me some of the stuff that like she does, and she started telling me about some of these like weird ceremonies or whatever. And I was like, she's like, I think I'm gonna try it out.
Like she rubbed mandrake all over her belly, and then like burns incense in a circle.
And she was just this like vagabond, like she got this like inheritance from California from some family. Yeah. She was just traveling around in the world, I guess, trying to get witch friends, and she'd sell pot or something. Oh. And so it was just kind of like, all right, you really know how to pick them, don't you?
Dude,
have you ever?
That's really dark.
Have you ever done anything with like a Ouija board?
Oh no, I don't mess with that stuff, dude. But the thing is, it's not. And again, you can.
I don't.
It's so easy to act nowadays. All the world's all disenchanted now. Again, not necessarily, but I'm saying.
I still would.
In general,
I wouldn't want to do it.
In general, people are very disenchanted. Even people that are of belief don't necessarily believe in like a Ouija board. You know what I'm saying?
They
just might think, oh, that's all made up. But it's not. It's like even like magic with a K. That whole movement of like Aleister Crowley, or whatever.
Yeah, I know completely about that.
They would it's like modern magicians where they would like I don't know do something where if they hated somebody they would like print a picture of them out and like burn it and then masturbate while they did it and focus negative energy and curse them like curses. Like curses. Do you like if you're a Christian person now? If you're a Christian person now, which God bless you, like would you believe in a curse? Like if someone said, "I curse you to 1,000 years of blight and all of your sons will die early,"
I'd be nervous.
Would you believe it?
I'd be nervous about it.
But the thing is, it doesn't necessarily have to be magic. If it just gets in your head,
it could be
already
reality.
Is like
it's like manifesting
curse.
Itself.
Exactly. So why when we have this disconnect now about it, but why it's like
no, we don't. We really don't.
I
think we want to.
Yeah.
But like I don't think it's like gone all the way.
That's why the scariest like stuff for me, like the scariest movies and shit and books and stuff, is like that Oculus.
Oh, dude,
That
that's
one-
like because it fucks
Highly
with your,
recommended.
like messes with your perception.
It's like
and,
some
it's-
demon is messing with your reality and your mind and your
and
perception.
you don't know what to think.
That's
or, like,
so-
you don't
it's
know
a
what's
psychological
reality.
terror.
That's definitely one of like my favorite ones.
What else? That's a good discussion. There is some books or some movies we
So
like.
I watched
Halloween movies.
I've been like really trying to like get a lot of Halloween movies in. I watched
First of all, just say everyone, Oculus, highly
Oculus.
recommended from both
Great,
of us.
fantastic.
Go on.
I think that's like probably like one of my favorite newer like scary
That movie,
movies.
dude. When we watched that, I think it was like me and you and Brian.
I've seen
we
it like
watched
4 times.
I was scared, and maybe Steven was there. I was so scared for I was an adult. I was like 24.
Yeah, we were
hadn't
like-
been scared in years. I went home and was like literally scared like a little kid. Like when I saw the ring.
It's terrifying.
It was so scary. It got in my head, and like it's like this mirror is like messing with this.
Yeah, there's like a cursed mirror. But
And mirror is
it's
already
so
like a
good.
really strong artistic symbol from the past. you
And
know?
there was like mirrors are always in like scary movies, and I was like I was thinking about this little kids drawing things.
Yeah.
Are, like always a thing in a movie. It was in.
It's in all of them.
It's
yeah.
in like all of them.
Like the kid draws some like
They call-
demon
like,
under
it's
the
like-
ground or
it's like
something.
they're-
It's in the ring too.
It's
The
in
ring, the Babadook.
It's in the ring. It's in the Babadook. It's in Children of the Corn. It's
Yeah.
in freaking Don't Be Afraid of the Dark.
Daddy, this is my
Dude.
friend Scott. He
Yeah.
lives in the walls.
It's in so many
know,
movies.
that kind of thing. Which is,
But I guess like
is
that's
terrifying.
probably got to do like with like this kid is like a symbol of innocence or something in the movie.
Oh, he's like
and
a little bit psychic because he's a
yeah,
kid.
and like they have like the innocence.
Adults
but
can't
they're-
quite understand it anymore.
They're like because the little girl in Children of the Corn is drawing people getting dismembered, and she's really sweet little girl. She's like, I don't know, I just draw these things.
Yeah, dude. I don't want my kid. I don't want my kid drawing that. The
So yeah, Oculus is good.
What's your next one? I have a list here.
Things that I just watched. Yeah, I like Babadook because that's kind of like more of like one of those psychological kind of things where it's. I thought that movie was also really scary. I thought that was scary because there is that psychological side, and then it just kind of like messes with your perception too because it's all based on like the main characters, like what she's thinking, kind of like, and then
Oh, yeah.
the tragedy in her life manifesting, and like the more that
It's like a
grows-
nightmare kind of or
it
something. Yeah.
keeps growing, and so that's a really cool one.
Oh yeah.
I watched Chucky recently.
Chucky's awesome.
So I watched that movie when I was a kid, and I had nightmares till I was like 7 or 8.
That's the second one, right?
The Child's Play is what it's called.
Yeah, Child's Play. Yeah.
And that one's like, it's not like super scary. I mean, it scared me
Dude,
as a child,
it's
but
funny.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
It's like, and I watched the new one.
But that's again like that kid way of thinking that like when you're a kid it's like even if your parents are telling you that's not real, you're still a little worried that doll in the corner
Yeah.
might start moving because you don't
That's
trust
the whole
it yet.
point of that movie. It's
You
like
know?
that's what it is.
You have no reason to think, even though people are telling you this on the outside, you're still like there still could be terrors that they don't understand.
That's why
You're a
that
kid.
movie's so cool because it's like the little kid gets the doll and then he's like, well, Chucky told me this. It's a very specific thing that a little kid wouldn't know. And the mom's like, that's kind of weird, blah, 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 blah.
Mm-hmm.
And then when somebody dies, they're like, Chucky did it, see it? And they're like, no, I think the kid did it. But then she has an interaction and
Mm-hmm.
she's trying to explain to the policeman that Chucky's real. But he's like, that's stupid. You guys are going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just like all this like deceit and like trying to trust something and like not realizing
It's like something from the other, the
Yeah.
other, with quotations around it. Well, like another one I watched that was awesome recently, highly recommended. Color Out of Space, Nicolas
Okay,
Cage.
that
Which
was
first
cool.
of all, Jordan knows I'm a Nicolas Cage head. I'm a Cage head.
Cage head.
I even watched the crappy ones.
Jordan knows I'm a cage
I'm
head.
a Cage head. But Color Out of Space, it's H.P.
That was really
Lovecraft.
good. That's
it's
really
it's
cool.
it's like basically this meteor comes down with this mysterious sub like pink color out of space. It's like a color that we can't even describe because they've never seen it before. H.P. Lovecraft, he's really good at writing. You can download his complete works for free. If you want to do that, for like a PDF of it, that's way better than anything you're reading on Twitter. But but it's like this thing comes out and then it starts all affecting their minds and stuff. Like it starts changing the environment around it, but also it starts like driving them and like Nicolas Cage insane, which he's the best at acting insane. And then he just gives these really compelling kind of insane performances, but that's one of them. And it's great. I don't want to ruin it though, but it's really good. It's really smart. It's like it's psychological. It's got cool effects and like that kind of classic kind of gory stuff. So don't watch it if you're like queasy with that, but it's great. It's
That's
really
why
good one.
it's hard. There is that dividing line between like horror movies. There's that like horror gore or gore horror or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not like super into just like seeing someone getting tortured is not scary to
No.
me. And I feel like that's kind of like a subcategory
like
of
Saw or
scary-
something,
yeah,
which is
something like
okay. It's
that.
just kind of like a lower. It's not like
torture
as,
porn.
It's
or
not
something.
as
It's weird.
It's not as like hard to do that as it's like that kind of existential terror that's like actually deep and actually
Yeah,
hits
exactly.
you,
That
hits
stuff
hits
that
a viewer in like a deep
makes me think
fear.
like, oh gosh, like maybe I
the
do
other
do
is
this.
out there and it's scary.
There's kind of another one of my favorites, and I haven't seen it for a while, but I always do really like is Rosemary's Baby. Because that one's not super scary,
That one's cool though.
but it's just really eerie. It's super eerie. It's just kind of like the whole time you just get these
Yeah.
weird vibes, and then like you
Oh,
really
yeah.
learn like what's going on.
and then it turns out that it's like Satan's son.
yeah, it's like the Satan's baby.
Which, oh,
and-
that's ruined the twist. Sorry if you haven't
spoilers.
seen it.
Spoilers.
Oh, you know another one's great? Hellraiser.
Oh,
Hellraiser from the 80s, and that one again, it's kind of gross, but it's also that one's great too because I love how it's this gory, horrible horror like terror movie of like with all these gross like gore scenes and murder and all, but like the underlying theme of the movie is basically like don't give in to sin or like it's like if you sin
it's your vices. If you like go
if you go
close to
too
your vices,
your vices will just take to extremes and destroy you. That's the theme of the movie. Is like don't
so cool.
let this weird whatever in that movie. It's a lot of it's about sexual like being sexual deviant kind of weird stuff, getting weirder and weirder, and then like there's these alien like demons from another dimension that come in.
That's
like
so cool.
It's
cool because it's not like it's none of that stuff is explained. It just happens in the movie. Like this really weird, surreal. Like the character goes through this dimension or something, and they don't explain it.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like this is what this kind of I don't know.
The Cenobites, dude.
Yeah, the Cenobites.
And they're terrifying. And they're also like it's kind of it's got that funny kind of 80s like
you're
effects.
terrified because you don't know what they're doing exactly.
Yeah.
But like
there's no. It's not like it's before CGI, so like all those cool old like physical effects were like they like are using clay or something. They're like I don't know. That's awesome.
I
You
watched
have any other ones?
Hereditary the other day.
That one I kind of liked it.
I thought it's definitely super spooky, but like it's kind of like the story's kind of like hard, like kind of weird.
That's the guy that did. Is that the guy that did The Witch?
He did Midsummer.
No, Midsummer, which was good. Which is we were. It's literally that. If you want to,
kinda
the
like
stuff we were talking
creepy.
about, the pagan,
Yeah.
the Baal worshippers
It's
we
really
talked about earlier.
cool.
That movie is kind of based on that same folklore of these weird, tripped out,
And it's
like
kinda creepy.
ancient. Like
It's super- I
you know,
think it's
witch
pretty
cult where
creepy.
they sacrifice people to these weird gods.
They have these.
and-
They just have these really weird rituals that they're used to, and then they have these outsiders.
It's
come and they
entertaining.
don't- Yeah, I like that movie too.
I think that's the guy. Is that the guy that made The Witch? The Witch is another really good
No,
one,
The Witch, the guy that made The Witch, also made Lighthouse, which
which is also pretty good.
yeah.
The Witch is a great
Witch
one
is a-
though.
Witch
Another
is a really
great
cool
the Witch with the folklore. It's
It's the
Witch.
folklore. It's also like
Psychological.
the psychological.
Yeah.
It's not like outwardly scary. It's not gonna make you.
It's
jump.
a modern, again, like we were saying, the modern horror needs to be almost explained. Jordan,
What?
people that aren't here, Jordan just laid a ghastly fart,
No,
and the
it
room is
it's
filling.
the ghost smells.
Yeah,
the
that's
ghost
the-
smells here.
Yeah,
it
the
has nothing to do with my butt.
The ghost of a bunch of deep fried chickens that are in your belly.
No,
Yeah, okay.
I ate. What did I eat today? I ate Williams Brothers.
It's a healthy smelling fart. So props to Williams Brothers.
Meatloaf and ribs.
They're friends of the podcast, I know, so they're gonna love hearing that one. But but yeah, that one's awesome. The Witch, Midsummer.
Oh shoot! Sorry, I don't know who that is.
Decline. God,
Sorry.
amateur hour. Oh, you know what I was thinking was funny.
I was
to
thinking it
talk
was a
about?
client.
Dude. Oh yeah, that'd be bad. We should probably answer those. I was thinking about like when I was a kid, all the like the macabre things that we believed, like when I was real young, it was Bloody Mary. You remember that one?
Oh yeah,
It was like an underground folklore of the kids in which you would. God, Jordan.
Well, I have shitty equipment.
I'm trying to tell the public about how to ruin their lives with Bloody Mary.
Oh yeah, did you?
So
do
you
it?
go into a bathroom, as I learned this. You go into a bathroom, lock the door, turn off the lights, and then you would look in the mirror and you would say Bloody Mary 3 times. And when you did that, she would appear in the mirror with you. And then she would if you did it, there were some rules about
thought
she
you
would
just
come out.
died.
She would come out and kill you. But that was the whole thing, was that she would come out of the mirror. And you might have heard a different version, even though I was only 2 hours away growing up from you in Jeff City. I'm saying it's a kid folklore, so God knows the different variations that were out there. But that was our variation, was you would, you know what I mean? You would like, she would come out of the thing and kill you. So we were always terrified. And me and my friend Tobias, when we lived in Jefferson City, we would like go into the bathroom at the elementary school and like try to do it sometimes and like be like, see, we're tough.
You guys are ballsy.
We did Bloody Mary and
You
we
guys
didn't
wouldn't
even
do Bloody
die.
Marys. We didn't even die. We fought her. Actually.
And now I'm just a a guy that drinks Bloody Marys. I don't
Is that what I didn't even know the lore of Bloody Mary.
I don't know if that's
I don't know
connected,
anything
but I'll
about
tell you
it.
what, those
Wasn't
are
there?
good drinks.
There's another one kind of like I'm trying to think of other kind of folklore things like we grew up
Dude,
with.
Enoch's Knob.
Oh, that's
That's
like
the number
very-
one in Washington,
well,
dude.
That's like a local
In
actual-
Washington, that's the number
They
one.
tore the bridge down.
But it's ruined now. Well, we were yeah, I
I didn't
remember
even. There's like 18 different stories about that. Justin knows a lot about it.
we
apparently.
used to go out there a bunch. We used to go out there a bunch in high school, and it was like the story was that you go out on that bridge. It was this bridge, basically, if people don't know, it's out between Washington and New Haven off like K or something like that.
It's back there, yeah.
Yeah, and you go, there's this little old dirt road in Enoch's Knob, and there's like some farmhouses there you pass when you drive down it. But then you drive down and you see this really old, creepy bridge. And it was like a really, really old bridge, and it was
supposed to
probably not safe.
Drive. What we were told is you're supposed to drive in the
Yeah.
middle of it, and then blink your lights three
You
times.
turn your car off.
and then you blink your lights 3 times, and you sit there, and then the ghost.
And then
will come out.
you'll hear the ghosts will come out, or like you'll see a lantern in the woods was another variation of it. I'll say this: we went there so many times at night, and we never saw anything. So maybe it's not real.
Non-believer.
I'm not trying to make you a skeptic but I remember we did though. We would go there so much that we would just like hang out there sometimes like at night, but it became almost like a makeout spot for the teenagers and stuff. But like
That is the start of a horror movie.
Yeah,
It's
it
like
is.
the kids go to Enoch's Knob. to
dude, this is not some
like
corporate Hollywood
and they
creation.
go-
This is
and then
real.
they end up dying.
folklore.
Like, whoa, like Evan and Marissa freaking died like down there by Enoch's Knob.
Dude, and we would. I remember there was it was with Frank. There was a foreign exchange student named Betty, and she could like we would go. She was hanging out with us because she was and we were over there, and she was like. What we would do is we would park our car way in the back, like hidden in this field on the other side, and then we would go hide under the bridge, and we would wait till someone drove up, and like Betty would run out and like stand in the middle of the bridge. I don't remember how many times it is, maybe once or twice, but then she would like hang her hair down when they turned their lights off, and then when they turned back. They couldn't see her. They'd turn the lights back on, and then there's just like this scary like. Black hair like hanging in her face, like just kind of standing there, like looking all weird,
guys
like with her
trolled
elbows
the
bent.
Enoch's Knob
And then
people?
people would just burn out and like drive away and stuff. So that's kind of a fun. That was a fun. That was. I can't remember if there's any other like.
My brother,
Washington,
Well, the only other thing I can think of is Creepy Jesus.
Oh, the grotto thing. The old.
It's like kind of like by there.
Yeah.
Off Hancock Street.
Yeah.
But really, so there's
That
this,
thing's
like,
cool, though.
No, it is cool. It's there's a statue of like Jesus laying down, like I guess like in his tomb, and like everybody used to say, "Oh, if you go to Creepy Jesus at a certain time, the eyes will bleed." That's what we were told.
I never heard that one.
The eyes will bleed.
And this shows you how scattered these myths were, because me and you were 1 year apart and we're friends, and I never
we
even
lived
heard
like
that.
a mile apart from each other. And the other thing too is I know like what it was is a guy came home from World War II and just like made that.
Yeah.
And so
Which is
it's,
awesome.
It's nothing like weird.
No, it's sweet.
Just
Yeah.
that's the story. But it got turned into this. Oh, creepy Jesus is gonna cry blood.
Yeah, dude.
Whoa.
I thought one thing we passed over earlier, but I thought was interesting when I was reading about was, like we were saying, there's a scientific explanation for everything now, so it kind of almost ruins the supernatural curse horror aspect of it. But like I was reading this speculative person speculating. Research experts at universities now suspect potentially that the Salem witch mania was caused by an ergot outbreak, which is this fungus that
they're
grows
eating,
on
like-
the crops, and then it's basically LSD. And it was there are times in history.
So you're telling me witches were tripping out?
Well, no, it's not necessarily. Well,
I wouldn't doubt it.
That is a very disputed line of history that is interesting to research, but it's not. It's not.
It's like
it's
if
not
like
confirmed.
you're eating like mushrooms and you don't know like what you're eating, and then
It's
like,
not
you start
confirmed,
and
any
like
of
there's
this.
like a bunch
Yeah.
of people doing it kind of, and they don't know what they're doing, and
Well,
people start acting weird and feeling weird.
Well, in ergot would happen, and it was bad because like it was like if that hit your crops and people ate it, they would make them really sick, and they'd seize and they'd be like tripping out on the ground, thinking that they're seeing demons and stuff because they just didn't know what was happening. But now they're like, oh, but maybe it was Urgot, maybe it was Urgot. But then these, they'll also say there's no way that the witches were real. There's no way they were out in the woods like getting high on stuff or whatever. Like even though they
Smoking marijuana.
Well, yeah, I mean that's been, you can find marijuana use at the most ancient texts you can read.
That's why it's evil.
You know what I mean? Like even in the most ancient text possible, there were in Herodotus. You read that. That's all. Yeah, there's all these pot smoking tribes and stuff.
Ripping spliffs every
Dude, that's
day.
probably your ancestors.
Dude, Apollo?
Like the steppe tribes that were all like the potheads, like Queen Tamira, the one that killed Cyrus the Great.
Oh, dude, like let's go kill this guy named
No,
Cyrus.
she was badass.
Dude.
She was like these, like they were like these like pot smoking Vikings. Anyway, yeah, that's all cool. But Halloween,
Witch stuff.
It all ties back at witches, dude. That stuff is like the witchcraft, sorcery. Astrology.
The unknown,
Astrology.
the unexplainable, which can only be explained through
There's a lot of
demonry.
dude, and there's a lot of people now that secretly believe in astrology. They keep it secret because
No, they don't. They put it on their freaking
Some people don't.
Tinders and their Facebooks.
Yeah, they used to get you put to death for doing that shit. And then, reading the stars and casting fortunes or curses based on the alignment of Saturn and Pluto. Now, this doesn't, now it's like a fun, you read it in the newspaper. Oh, today you get to a great news is coming.
Yeah, it's like a
or something.
weird.
But back then it was like, you don't do that. And you know what's interesting? Here's another case that the witchcraft is not such a outlandish, like crazy, like hysteria, but maybe actually was based on something. Is that in the Old Testament they address it. They talk in the Old Testament. It says basically it's abominable. Witchcraft, sorcery is abominable. Alchemy, sorcery, don't do any of that crap. But it doesn't say it's fake. It just says don't ever do it. And also,
it's not fake.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They didn't, but it doesn't say there's all these people that think they're magic. They're not really magic. They don't say that. They say don't do it. It's evil. And they say the same thing in the New Testament. They don't say it's fake. They say it's evil.
Where do you find kind of like? Well, see, where do you find how to do like a ceremony? Maybe we should pray. Like,
Wiccan?
yeah.
I'm not doing that.
Do you think like
I'm
kind
not
of like
playing
the
with
deep
that.
web, or do you think you could just find it like?
Dude, now you could just probably like find some. People are so disenchanted; they don't care now. It's like you could just like openly like, I'm going to sacrifice a goat to.
Would I be a wizard?
You could. No one would care.
Or
People
like
think
would I
you're
be
a
a
weirdo.
witch?
People would think you're like somebody that listens to The Cure or something and like watch too much Sabrina, like I said earlier.
No, anime or something.
Or like
no,
you watched.
I don't want to like.
I don't want to disparage anyone.
I don't want to like put anybody like in a box, which I clearly am already.
You like listen to too much like Marilyn Manson or something.
I've shopped at Spencer's too much.
I'm really dark and Wiccan.
I wear too many MCR shirts.
It's like but none of these people like probably have even like probably these people haven't even like read the text.
They don't know anything about it. They just want to be.
They're just like I'm just like that witch from that TV show on Disney. Or like
I draw pentagrams. I got a pentagram tattoo.
Or like they're and now even another thing you're into is like the metal culture. Like that is a lot of that is even like you look at like it's a lot of it's like macabre, like dark, like Halloween kind of like themes, death and like. And like,
dude, Rob Zombie.
And dude, they, in the black metal scene in Sweden, what it was like 20 years ago, where they were like burning down churches and stuff.
Oh yeah, they were hardcore.
They were scary dudes, and they were burning down churches and stuff. Again, same thing, ties back, death. I don't know. These themes they don't go away. Just I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yep, it's through the time, and like I said, like Halloween. The history of Halloween is nothing that I expected.
What's the most scared you've been in your like? What was your worst child fears? Like, what were you scared of? What did you think was lurking in the shadows?
I thought Chucky was lurking in the shadows.
Chucky, that was like your number one. You mentioned him several times. It sounds like that was
that was like my number one fear.
Your number one
I
was
remember
Chucky.
like when my fear of Chucky dissipated. Mm-hmm. Like I remember having a very specific dream, and then like I was done being afraid of Chucky. It was very symbolic in my life, and I was probably like I said,
your brain like therapized you about it. Like you just had some
exactly.
dreams like you're too old to be scared of a child doll.
Dude, and like that did like I would have like I had most of like my scary dreams when I was a kid was of Chucky, and so that was my main fear. But like, I guess like in my waking life, I don't know. I guess like every kid's probably afraid of a lot of stuff. You know, you don't know.
Yeah, but what were you?
I was
But
just
Chucky is the
yeah,
one.
but I mean, I know like
That's the only thing you were scared of ever in your life.
Every kid's afraid of the dark. You don't want to like go into like that.
Yeah, but what
creepy
did you when
hallway.
you were a kid? Like what you? I mean, Chucky was a one specific character. Like, what did you think was going to happen to you in the dark?
I never thought that he was gonna be there. Actually, I don't know. I don't.
When you were a
I
little
don't think-
kid?
yeah, I guess.
You probably were scared of that, weren't you? Tell me your deepest fears, Jordan.
I think that was one of the things that I feel like kids are like kind of just scared of a lot of different things too. It's like everyone's kind of afraid of the dark when you're little because you don't really know what's going on or like
Yeah.
you know you kind of fear that. I think Chucky was probably the biggest fear, and that was
Chucky.
just like yeah, and
Like I told you, mine. I remember I had a witch. I was terrified of witches. I think after watching Wizard of Oz, that witch when I was a kid. Now I just think that's a really good movie. But when I was a kid, I remember being terrified of that. And then I remember The Ring was the worst. That was the worst of my life
because I was probably
That was
too
the worst
young.
of my
I was
life.
like too young to watch that.
That was the
movie.
worst. I was terrified as like. I mean, I remember even being like 9 and like having having to leave a night light or whatever on.
I would sprint or like I would sprint to a light and turn it on.
Yeah,
That's what I would
exactly.
do. I would
That's what I
sprint,
mean.
Like you get
Yeah.
that, you get
That
those
fear.
jitters.
And when you're an adult, you kind of lose that fear. Like you don't
Yeah.
really get scared of that kind of thing anymore. But like that's why I mentioned Oculus. That was a rare time that I was actually in fear. But like but that I remember that, and then I remember. I'm trying to think. I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like things. What my dad did whenever, because I watched scary movies with him mostly, because my mom wouldn't want me to watch any of them. And so what he would have me do whenever we got done watching a scary movie, he's like, "Okay, now you got to walk around the house. It'd be dark." He's like, "You have to walk around the house 3 times."
Yeah.
So he'd like kind
To kind of break your fear.
kind of like make me not like it's like okay, all right. I did.
Chucky's not actually there.
I did not get attacked. See, but I watched that. A certain sibling let me watch that with them, which they probably shouldn't have let me because I was like 2 or 3 or something.
Yeah,
and
that's
I
too
didn't
young.
like understand the story.
Yeah.
I just saw this doll biting people and like attacking little kids, and I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, that's pretty dude. That's
I have a lot of toys,
Mm-hmm.
and if one of those MFers wakes up and kills me, if my Buzz Lightyear gets up, kills me in the middle of the night,
But at a certain
I'm gonna be
point,
pissed.
it's like a part of a child's life, though. Like every child has to have that to get over it, to be like an adult. Like I remember when we saw The Ring. Me and my dad, I wanted to see it. I don't even know why, because I just saw it on the movie board, and I was like, I want to watch that one. And maybe people at school had been kind of like, The Ring is the scariest movie ever made for kids.
you're not old enough. It's PG-13.
But then, I remember my dad saying, "We're not gonna watch it. It's gonna terrify you." And I was like
Yeah.
8 or 9. And I was like acting all tough, like I can watch a scary
they
movie.
say
I'm
that
not
for
an
a
idiot.
reason.
And then he's like, "Okay, we'll go watch it." And then just being terrified. And he's like, "I told you, like this is why I didn't want to see it." And then, but I was legitimately terrified for years.
When you don't trust them to be like,
Yeah.
or whenever they say it's not real, it's just a movie, you don't trust them.
No.
You don't trust them because it's already inside your head. It's like inside your head already.
It's already in your head, and then it's like in your subconscious, and it's just coming out when you're not thinking about it. You just be like start getting anxiety about it, like.
Laying in bed was like the worst for me. Like trying to going to bed like when I was a kid because I have like ADHD brain, and so it would take me a long time to fall asleep.
The
So
Bloody
it's-
Mary was scary for me too. At the same when laying in bed thinking
Like
that
laying
Bloody
in
Mary,
bed, like,
I would
I
think
just
that she
didn't
was
know
watching me through a mirror.
If I would see, like if I'd hear something, I'd be, what is that?
And this is and you know my beautiful wife Monica. She's like this is why you don't want to watch horror movies. She's like all it's gonna do. She's seen some of them. She's seen maybe Freddy Krueger or whatever or something like that. But which is another great one. The psychological nightmare hunter guy.
Like, never gonna stop chasing you.
She's like, it's why put it in your head? Because if you do that, you're just gonna think about it. Like,
Yeah.
and then that's when it just attacks you like a negative energy. But I get that what she's saying, but also I just enjoy it, like, because like I need to get a little bit of fear.
I think it's kind of cool it kind of feels fun to
Yeah,
kind
it's
of
fun.
like, oh, what's this gonna be like? But I think I've seen like as far as like movies and stuff like that. I don't know. Like I feel like I've seen so far. I've watched a lot of stuff.
I know, yeah.
And like
most of them suck.
A lot of them suck.
Most of the horror movies I watch are very disappointing.
So I'm just kind of
like all the same thing. It's just like things just jump out really quick. It's like, okay, well, that's not.
or it's just crap, just story, crappily written, or anything. It's like that's like was so different between the old Child's Play and the new Child's Play was so bad. It's just like poorly written. It like wasn't really scary. It had a completely different theme than the old one.
It probably still would have messed you up if you were a kid.
Yeah, because they kind of have like, well, I mean, I don't wanna get into
Your
it,
perspective
this
on the
is
other
like
one is as a kid watching it.
But also, I was a child.
Like
and
when I watched
didn't
the-
really,
when I
like
watched The
said,
Ring now, I think it's
I didn't
terrible.
understand the story. I just
Yeah.
saw like this little thing, like a toy attacking people.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand like, oh, he's like possessed. Like this doll is possessed by a person trying to get vengeance, and he has to like kill the kid to get a body back. Like it was,
Yeah.
there was like a whole elaborate demon thing there, and I didn't understand that. But it was just kind of. But the new one is like more kind of geared towards technology and stuff. So Chucky is just actually a doll, like a robot doll that
Yeah.
can learn things. It's kind of like overplayed.
Yeah,
It was
it's
not-
yeah. I'm not into that.
It was not.
And it's like, come on, just come. I mean, somebody came up with the Chucky doll thing. Like, just come up with a new one. It's not that. I'm not saying it's not hard to come up with a genius idea like that, but it's like just come up with something new. Why do you gotta just reboot it and
Well,
ruin
what's
it?
the other one? Like, there's been how many like the reboots of the Halloweens, and then there's like the reboot.
Dude.
There was something else that got. There's a bunch of new stuff that's rebooted or they've remade or something. I don't freaking know. I don't pay attention to like new scary. I don't know. Like all the new like the scariest
I just see
movies are
whatever
kind of like indie movies ish almost.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, The Conjuring, that was a big one. That was
was a
everyone
good
like
one.
that, and that one
That
that one
was,
was legitimately good.
that
It
was
wasn't,
cool.
and it wasn't so much like jump out at your horror. It was like suspense, suspense building and like anxiety building that you're gonna see something and you don't, and then like. But then I don't know. Then you finally remember. There's that shot where it reveals the lady. She's sitting on top of like the weird, creepy like demon lady, and she's sitting on top of like the dresser in the shot. It doesn't jump out. It's just she's just sitting there in the
that's the
background.
weirdest thing,
and
yeah.
it's so creepy.
That's what's like those
it
things.
doesn't go,
That's
boom,
subtle. Yeah, it's like a
you know?
subtle. It's a subtle fear. It's just like this thing in the background. That is definitely what gets because that's what happens in Hereditary a lot. There's just like something in the background and it doesn't move, but you can see it and you're just like, oh my god.
Yeah, dude.
And you're just like tense because you don't know if it's gonna jump out, but it's even scarier that it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
So it's one of my other scary movie moments was Amityville Horror with what? Oh shoot!
Reynolds or whatever?
Ryan Reynolds. I would say like Ryan Gosling. Me and Justin got that a long time ago. We bought it and we were gonna watch it, and we couldn't finish it because we were so scared. I was like 13 or 12. We couldn't finish it, and we were so scared. And
Dude, you remember the last time me and you watched Oculus? This is at our house. Me and you were living together, and we were like 26.
Oh,
and we had also already seen it, and
It's spooky.
And then me and you, we were watching it one night, me and you, and we looked at each other and we paused it. We're like, "Do you want to like finish this?" I'm like, "I don't know, dude. I kind of just like want to go to bed. I don't know if." It's gonna ruin my week if we just like it gets so scary that I'm just like I don't know. This is really I know it's a movie, but and it's also funny because that movie's like WWE Pictures presents.
oh yeah, it is.
And
It
I'm like,
is.
oh, this is a
that's
joke.
like the only.
And then
movie
I
I've
watch
ever
it,
seen
and
with
it's like actually scarier than like The Shining.
Well, that's what. So with the Amityville Horror one, we were getting so scared we turned it off, and like the thing in that movie is the bad things happen at 3:15. And so me and Justin got too scared. We're like, we'll finish it like in the daylight. and we go to bed, and I shit you not, I wake up at 3:15 that night, like, and my nose was bleeding. And I'm like hitting Justin. I was like, dude. He's like, what? And he's like, oh my god, you're bleeding. I was like, look what time it is. And we were like, ah. So that was kind of scary. And so we did finish the movie eventually, and it was scary. I mean, I'd watch it now. And
I don't know if I've seen it. We might have to watch that one.
I think like I remember being scared of it. Like,
Maybe I have seen
like,
it.
It was just kind of like spooky, and
I just must have been older when I saw it.
it's just kind of like the typical like the house is haunted. The little girl is talking to a dead little girl. There's a lot of bad no-nos that happened in that house. A lot
it's
of
like
bad
the most
no-no
stereotypical
hurties.
haunted house.
A lot of very no-no hurties happened there. And so
Haunted houses, and that's another great. I remember there was another one that I just remembered locally in Washington. There was this old barn that was out like kind of again between Washington, Missouri, and New Haven, Missouri, somewhere out there. Like I don't know exactly where, but I remember we heard about it and then we went out there and like looked at it, which was probably trespassing now in hindsight.
Yeah.
But it was, and we didn't see anything. But that was another one. And I remember there was also this legend that there was like this guy, this like ghost hitchhiker would walk up and down Old 100 just east of town. There was like and you would pick him up, like he would be walking there at night, and this is a really
I think
old
I
one.
remember hearing about this.
And this is like I think this one's from like our parents' generation of Washington, and it was like you walk up, the hill. There's like a ghost walking up and down Old 100. Of course, we would drive back and forth just because we were like hoping to God to see like a ghost because we're like
you want to see a ghost.
It's like God, can something be cool in the world that's like magic anymore? I'm still like burnt out about Santa not being
That's
real.
why kids do drugs. Can something be cool in the world?
Yeah.
I need these things
I
to
need
help
magic
me.
and like I need some kind of magic. No, but no.
There was the one, like, apparently the Elijah McClain's is haunted.
Oh, that's not.
And
that's
apparently it was a part of the Underground Railroad.
surprising. Oh,
That
really?
that's what this is all like
That's
not unconfirmed. These are just things that I've heard from people that like it was used for the Underground Railroad. These are unconfirmed.
Yeah, don't
these are-
sue
do
us.
not-
This is
this
not
is just-
liable upon the owners of that
But
place.
I have heard that place is haunted, and then so that's I don't know if there's anywhere else.
What? I'm gonna cancel my wedding that's there next year. That I want my $20,000
The
back.
spookiest wedding. The most spiteful dead bride is haunting the Elijah McClain's, ruining all the nice weddings.
She ate a deadly cocktail of birthday cake and champagne in 1928.
And then the cake flies everywhere. And then they gotta get it's haunted.
Dude, that's scary right now. I mean, that's already scary. We just made up a new one.
The haunted
Or
bride.
I guess you heard that, so I don't know. The haunted bride.
But I was also wondering, ghosts, spirits, these spirits that could potentially be roaming the earth, not roaming the earth. If
Yeah.
if science tells us so, if not, whatever. Are they
Science
bad?
can't answer everything.
Are
Science
they
can't
all
answer
bad, or like are they some of them good? And like what would be the purpose of them being here if they're good? I don't know.
Well, it's just like, I'll say this. I've never seen a ghost in my entire life, and no one I know
never seen
has,
one.
but that I'm not going to rule out. That's obviously not proof that it's not real. It's just that it does make me skeptical of it, but like of supernatural things. But again, we don't understand anything about like, we don't understand why we are here. We don't understand why we exist rather than don't
in-between,
exist.
what's
we don't
going
understand.
on.
We've
Consciousness.
why
evolution, like
our
evolving.
species has always believed in an afterlife, and and now maybe people don't a lot, but I
think that's
but it's
kinda
always been a thing until now. And now we think we're all smart because we can take really good microscopic pictures of chemicals and then pretend that we understand like why the subatomic structures of particles just like work, and like we're like, oh, but we get it because it's just like well, there may be some other force like dark matter that we don't really understand yet, but maybe it's a third of the universe. But
what if the dark matter is
we
magic?
get it. It's not magic. It's not like anything like that. It's just stupid. But it's like, well,
Dude, I see some pretty cool science stuff, and it's like that looks like magic.
yeah, dude.
It's like it's.
Well, that's true. Yeah,
I mean,
is.
it's just like, but it's
Yeah.
it's. Like
It's
you
almost
said,
like a
it's like we were saying
perspective or
earlier. It's
something.
like people were probably doing things with things that they didn't know what they were doing, and it just looked weird. And they're like, "Whoa, that's not normal,
Dude.
That guy's a witch, dude. He's doing things with them rocks and stuff."
Dude, I really hope this episode doesn't like put anyone into a schizophrenia. Like they like start. We've just convinced them that like, oh man, all these
Demons
things I'm
could be
thinking
real.
are real. But
It
anyway,
also not be real.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I really would hope to see something cool, to observe. But I think we're way more likely to see aliens, which we might do another episode on that. at some point.
I've run into people that claim that aliens are demons.
Well, that's possible.
That they have they say like from their interpretation of in the Bible, certain
Yeah.
things were said about demons, and they're like, well, aliens are just demons.
And now, even amongst the really smart atheists,
So maybe we should be more afraid of aliens.
amongst the really smart atheist people of the modern day, no hate on you guys, but amongst that crew, there is this new myth of like the people that do all the DMT, and then they think that they like are seeing these like elves and these other, and they believe that these things are actual like demonic entity or like spiritual entities that are in other dimensions that they're able to connect with their pineal gland to and like hear what they're saying to them and stuff. Now, I mean, it sounds to me like you're just on drugs, but like
yeah, but there's like a common thing.
Dude,
There's like if you're
now.
taking
people,
the
a lot of
drugs
people
and you
believe
see
this.
the
It's
same
real.
thing, it's like dreaming and like having the same dream as someone else.
Yeah.
It's like why did we both dream about
It is
being
weird.
naked in front
But
of?
it could
like,
just be because that drug has an effect on you that is in that chemical
yeah,
puts
but
a brain.
it's
I
like
think in your brain.
across the like across the
I'm a
human
skeptic.
brains. If several people are taking the same,
But
drug
it's a
and
huge.
seeing
But the point is, it's a
the
growing.
elves.
It's a growing. Like
The
cult. It's a
elves?
new cult. It's a new.
It's a cult?
And well, I mean, basically, think what's the difference between that and they believe in something supernatural, and they don't even maybe think of it like that because they think it's like, no, this is not like Christianity or something because it's oh no, this isn't like that, or this isn't like a religion, but it's like, well, what you're believing is pretty like you're saying that like you're commuting with like interdimensional alien species that like are telling you things.
Do you think the Vatican is talking to the aliens, the space demons?
I don't think so.
Oh, and then what about aliens? If aliens aren't demons, do aliens also have a spiritual
think
thing
aliens-
that they avoid?
I think aliens are real. I don't know about like all the UFOs.
I don't know about the sightings.
We can't go down that. We can't go down.
This is not
This is a separate episode.
Aliens Eve.
I love
this
it.
is the Halloween.
Halloween, but it is still it's kind of related. It's scary.
People
It's
dress
spooky.
up as aliens. It is spooky.
yeah, it's
People
spooky.
get taken.
It's
and,
related.
we need to have a holiday that's like kind of like an alien holiday where like we go steal people from their beds at night.
Well, you know what it's going to be? First Contact Day. Whenever, First
Contact
This
Day.
is assuming, by the way, that the government hasn't just covered it up, which a lot of people believe. I don't know if I believe it, but a lot of people do. And that will be. But when they finally come out and say like, guys, an alien talked to us. He came down in his ship.
It's already happened. They just won't tell us.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. A lot of people believe that. I don't know, but but when that will be the day. That will be like the celebration day, unless they come and just like, I don't know, turn us into cattle, basically, which is possible.
I feel like that's
They could just turn us into cattle. Maybe they'll get down here and like they'll just like they really love the
they'll
taste.
be really cool
of,
or something.
They really
Maybe
love
they
the
might-
taste of like eating a human's like hypothalamus of his brain. So they just farm us like
They're
cows.
gonna put us in martinis,
and then
like little,
we
like
have
little
some
olives.
chemical, and yeah, they're just like we're some delicious treat. Like that could happen,
Dude, they're gonna be people kebabs for aliens.
dude. We got.
What if
dude, I wanna do it.
dinosaurs were aliens?
Well, I mean,
Dinosaurs are probably aliens.
there is a theory that Earth panspermia, I think it's called.
Panspermia.
Yeah, and that's not when you're jerking off on a pizza. That's
Oh,
that's
Jesus.
no, it's where like they think some people think that Earth was inert, and then which again this would be also very related to a Christian or any kind of like classical religious view of it is that the Earth was populated with life from an asteroid or something. Something came in on an asteroid or something. It was inert, and then all of a sudden there was life there. I don't think that's how it works. I think
The Thing.
I think God
Have you
did
not
that.
seen The Thing?
What?
I was talking about the movie The Thing.
Yeah.
Basically, it happens like the ship falls and like there's the thing. The Thing is on the ship.
Oh yeah,
Have you seen The Thing?
dude, the thing is awesome.
The Thing is awesome.
John Carpenter.
Yeah.
And he did
the whole-
I love
the
his.
whole
I admire
Halloween.
him a lot too because of his doing all his own music, and it's all badass, like weird synth 80s kind of.
He does the spooky movie. He did the
They're
Halloween,
good.
didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's done the spooky.
That's another
ones.
spooky guy. He's awesome. He's a great classic. He's
What
a classic.
what were you when you were growing up? Like, what were your what were your like outfits? Your Halloween outfits?
Let me think. I remember I was Rambo. I only know because I remember a picture of me as a child. I was Rambo, which still love Rambo, John Rambo. Then I was Power Ranger one time. I was like, God, I don't know. I think I didn't even remember. I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember those two for sure, but those were both when I was really young. I remember one time going trick-or-treating when I was like borderline, like I was like 14 or something.
Oh, I went when I was like 18.
Yeah. I remember going borderline and people looking at me funny, like, what's wrong? Are you like, do you have like some kind of a disability or something?
I went when I was old.
And I was like, oh no, I just like have fun, like pretending I'm a kid still.
Instead of buying cigarettes,
Can
I
you-
went trick or
Can
treating.
you like play along with me, like pretending I'm a child still? But Anyway, it was fun. Whatever. I don't care. I don't regret it.
There was when I was like 17, me and my friend dressed up like a homeless guys, and we had signs that say "Will work for candy." And we went trick or treating when we were like juniors in high school, and people were like, "Oh, this is really funny. That's a really good costume. This is really funny." And then I went the next year, and everybody just looked at me like you. What are you doing?
What's wrong with you?
What is wrong with
but
you?
Jordan, when you were 18, you were like 220 pounds of muscle, and you were like had facial hair.
No, I didn't have facial hair.
Oh, you didn't?
I had baby face.
But you were a big jacked guy on the football team.
I was dressed up like Gandalf. No one could tell what it was. I had a beard on and everything.
I never met your Gandalf. You know my favorite costume of yours? I'm not going to say it.
Do it. What is it? What is it?
I don't know. You might get run out of Washington.
What is it? What is it?
I can't be with you anymore. I dated
That's
you.
not the first time I put a dress on.
Jordan's I'll just say this. If times got really rough for Jordan.
Whoa,
really
wait
rough,
a second.
and he needed money real bad.
No.
As bad as
Are you saying I dress as a woman?
bad as a poor girl in Eastern Southern Europe that's daddy
Why would
ran
I
out
be
of
in
money.
Southern Europe?
You could
Dude, could I be-
Jordan was hot when he cross-dressed. He could go out there and just sell himself out.
I could be Pretty Woman.
You pretty much.
I could be Julia
There's
Roberts.
a lot of depraved people that would hire you.
I don't want any part of that depravity.
But you're like a bear, you know?
I don't want to talk about this anymore at all. There have been a few times that I put on a dress for comedic purposes,
Yeah.
and nothing more.
You know, it's kind of like when, like, you know, a kid, you know, Daddy, I want a Barbie this time at Walmart. But you're doing that
And then
like
you
when
grab
you're 18.
him like really hard by the neck and you squeeze it and you say, "No, you don't.
You want
Jordan
a,
Jr.
you want a football. You're not going to be an actor. You're not going to be an actor. You're going to be a football player because that's what Daddy likes.
You want to dance around on stage. You want to dress up. Not every day can be Halloween.
Daddy, are you going to come to my play?
I want to watch you act like you're something, but I want you to act like you're my son, not act like you're something else. You hear me?
Can't hold on to the football. Can't hold on to the lamp. Can't hold on to the football.
The kid comes home. The dad's watching game film from when they won state 20 years ago.
How was your
Coach called. You were at practice.
How was your little play, Twinkerbell? And then you're like, it was good, Daddy. Daddy, you could have come to the opening night. It would have meant a lot.
Didn't want to watch my son prance around like a reed.
We should stop this joke before you get canceled.
I'll bleep it out. No, but okay, we were talking about Halloween outfits.
Halloween.
Well, whenever we made, like, my mom never bought them. She never bought them. I was saying at the beginning, we always like made them, so nobody knew what I was really ever. Like when I dressed up like Neo, and also there weren't a bunch of freaking 8-year-olds that knew what the Matrix
funny?
was.
I just made a connection to
What?
that. What you said earlier about I was thinking
Oh, no.
when I was a kid,
Your ADHD brain.
we would always go. We would always go to like the rich neighborhoods to trick or treat because we'd be like,
Oh, you get trash bags of candy.
in the rich neighborhoods, you get full Twix bars.
Oh, yeah, that's not a joke.
It was like it actually connects back to what you were saying about earlier when they were like, you know, the people would give them candy like, don't burn my house down, eat some candy, eat this little hot cross bun. Instead, like that was like how they appeased the pranksters.
Yeah.
Like, oh, fine, we won't spray paint your house like hooligans.
But what if they did anyway?
But that's what I'm saying. But it's almost like the
Chaos
same
ensues.
when I go out to there, you know, and I'm like, they give you the best candy. They're probably thinking like, oh God, why are all these people? These kids don't live in this neighborhood. Like, all right, just get out of here.
Scavengers, dude. I would get trash bags
Dude,
of candy.
that would have been a great idea if we had gone out on Halloween as like when we were older, like bully kids, even though we weren't, but if we were in a movie or something, and then like on Halloween, there's all these kids out and you're like, and you pretend that you're like a demon or something and you're like hiding in the woods, you come out and chase them and stuff, that would be a good prank. If on Halloween you pretend, you like pulled pranks on people that were trick-or-treating to make them think that there was demons out there or something.
The scariest thing that like would happen to me is my dad would ensue candy tax on me.
Oh.
Whenever I got home from trick-or-treating, he would just like
Take a third of it.
he'd be like, "Oh, give me some of this here."
I'll tell you what, that's a valuable lesson about
He's
life.
like, it happens to me, it's gonna happen to you.
Oh yeah, dude. That's like we talking about the Romans coming in and taking over the Celts. That's what they did. They should have said you can still do Samhain, but or Samhain. Sorry, you can just still do Samhain, but oh yeah, by
You
the
just
way,
kinda like can't.
we get a we get a third
can,
of your
but you
crops,
kinda can't.
and we get a third of the crops, and we get a third of your cows. So you guys have your little celebration. Just leave the cows over there, and if you don't. Yeah, we'll behead the leader of your society in the middle of the street, and all the druid priests will behead them in the streets. But another thing they did, which is another Nicolas Cage movie, is Wicker Man. They would make those big wicker statues, and then like put the witches and or whatever, like the demon people in them, and then burn them alive. And then they would tell fortunes based on how they reacted. They'd be like, "He didn't even scream when we burned him." Like,
So what's that? What does
that
that
must
mean?
mean next year's going to be a hearty crop or of barley or whatever. And you've done it like 20 times.
Dude, I can't help it. It's the equipment.
No, he just keeps hitting his hand against
Well,
the
I don't mean to.
thing.
But it's
anyway,
whatever, dude.
It's whatever.
I can't do nothing about it now.
It's, you know what, I'm just really excited for Halloween, even though I have to just work on Halloween.
Oh yeah, you do.
I
I'm
have
going
a-
to a party.
I have a
I'm
video
going to
shoot.
I'm going to a little party.
I'm
don't
gonna
know.
be, I'm happy to be working.
Do you
I don't
think
care.
people are going to dress up to this wedding? Why are they having it on Halloween? I mean, I guess
know.
it doesn't matter.
No, I mean, I don't mind it. I would rather be doing something fun,
I'm
but
talking about like them, like when people do weddings on like holidays. There was one time I shot a wedding and it was on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And so the reception lasted like 6 hours
Mm-hmm.
because they wanted to do the ball drop thing. So it was fun. Everybody was having a lot of fun at first, but then at the end, everyone's just sitting down.
Dude, it's 2 hours too long. It's like,
yeah.
dude, no, we should cut this short. But the like I said, I love Halloween. I wish I didn't have to. I'll watch some horror movies this week or something.
Yeah.
And I want to watch color. I just got the 4K color out of space Blu-ray
4K HD.
That one is. I think that one's my favorite. Like I only seen it once.
I've only seen it once,
but
it was in
so
theater
good.
and it was a long time
So
ago. But I
good.
remember really enjoying it.
So good, dude.
I don't know what I'm gonna.
So
I'll
good.
probably watch Oculus because I haven't watched it yet this year.
That's
But
awesome.
I've been trying to go through them. I guess what I don't know. You got might shut this down.
Yeah. If anyone's still here.
Do you have any like
If
last...
anyone's still here, Jordan will give you 50% off the podcast. Just use promo code
go to-
GoblinCome, and you just text them that, and then
Go to my Patreon.
Give him his
and
Patreon.
Go to my Patreon. Give me a bunch of money. You can see all the exclusive content that I don't post for anybody.
if you subscribe to Jordan's Patreon right now,
and you give me
he will send
$400 a
you
month.
a Snapchat every morning of
Well, you get the live Snapchat update of my life.
I'm telling you, Jordan, you can see a lot of compelling stuff. He makes coffee. He goes to
I don't
the
even
gym.
make coffee, I just
he
do
works.
it.
He sits on a computer. He does a lot of stuff that you want to see his life.
I do a lot more than you think that I do when I do things that you think that I do. Okay? You don't really fully understand what I do with myself.
He would have this Snapchat he would always send where he was like pissing on this
Yeah, what was it? You don't even remember because it's
some
not
trash can or something.
No, it was a stuffed animal that was by a trash can.
So you can get Jordan's live updated Snapchat pissing on stuffed animals just for a small donation of $59.95 a month, and you
can get access to all
You will
my
be-
exclusive events. I'll call
Also-
you once a day.
executive
I'll
producer.
call you once a day.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" And we can have Vimeo chats or not Vimeo chats, Viso chats, Zoom chats. Is that what they're called?
Dude.
Zooms. We'll do guest Zooms and everything.
Jordan can do all of his characters on
And
camera for you.
If you want to be on Best of the Midwest, all you have to do is give me $5,000. Oh, that's it. That's all
Why'd you
have
tell
to
him
do.
how much I paid you for this?
Evan got a discount. I've known him for a while. He
Yeah.
got a discount.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah.
all right, guys, have a happy Halloween. Stay safe. Don't let the ghouls and the goblins get you, or the witches.
That's right. And yeah, have fun. Don't get fat from the candy.
Oh wait, hold on.
Don't get fat. Don't eat too many of
Don't
those
get the
Snickers.
cavities.
Snickers, those get me. It's spooky how fat it makes me. Claws, stretch marks going up to my sides, bursting at the waist belts. Demonic growths, entities, Foul gases erupt from the nether of my butt. Too many Snickers bars. Anyway, yeah, don't get fat from the Snickers. All right.
Oh, take her easy there, Pilgrim.
Boy, I got vision and the rest of the world wears bifocals.
Well, son, since you haven't learned to respect your elders, it's time you learn to respect your betters.
It is, I think, going to be a very harsh and unpleasant kind of business, and will, I think, require an extremely harsh and unpleasant kind of man to see to it.
I'm your huckleberry.